Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lunner, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast.
Welcome back to the Fieldhouse Podcast. We want to welcome you on this day. We've got some special guests. Just a reminder that the Fieldhouse Podcast is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. I've got Stacy Knight, our Vice President of Operations here at Kids Incorporated, sitting in with me today. Lance is going to take the day off, and the reason I've got Stacy here is Stacy grew up in Dalhart, and she's got some special friends here too, and I'm going to let her have the honor of introducing them, even though I'd like to consider them my friends too.
They're everybody's friends. This is my friends, Jean and Louise Rahll.
Jean, you and I met, golly, it was before COVID because we had conversations over in Hereford. Y'all came over to look at our indoor soccer arena over there and thought about doing something similar in Dalhart, and we had an opportunity to meet and visit, and Louise came over one time and got to go to lunch one day, and here we are all these years later. Now we've got the Rahll Activity Center in Dalhart, Texas, and you all were kind enough to ask us to be a part of it and come help with the management of that facility. But I want the two of you all to talk about a little bit first. Let's start talking about your background, and I want them to know how y'all met. I want you to talk about a little bit of that, and then we'll get into the Rahll Activity Center. So, Louise, why don't you start and tell a little bit about how you and Jean met?
Well, okay. I'm a native Dalhartan. Long before there was a Kids Inc. or a hospital or not much of anything. I was born in Dalhart. I had the opportunity to go. I went to 3 different high schools. I went to Highland Park High in Dallas one year, lived with my grandmother, came back to Dalhart. Then I went to Chicago to school and then worked in Chicago. At one point, my mother became ill, and I was the only one of 6 girls not married. So I went back to Dalhart, and after she died, I decided my father probably needed me. Well, he didn't. In 3 years, he remarried, which was fine. But by that time, I had just become so comfortable in Dalhart that I stayed, and I went to work for a bank there, the Citizen State Bank. And my older sister was a widow, and we would go to Mass together every week. And I didn't know it, but Jean was in town for about a month working for a company out of Pennsylvania. And I think he sat on the back row in church and watched the women come in. I wouldn't be surprised if that were not true. But one day, a nice lady I happened to know who owned a motel called me, and she said, "There's the nicest man staying here, and he would like to meet you. Would you like to meet him?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." Ask him if he wants to stop by the bank for a cup of coffee. And that was about 59 years ago. We've been married 57 years, but the clincher there, besides knowing that Jean was wonderful, he called me one day from he was in Victoria, Texas. Am I talking too much?
You're doing great.
That's one of my downfalls.
That's the beauty of these podcasts. There's no timetable.
Anyway, the company, it was New Holland Machine Company, kept him traveling all the time. He would take prototype machines out and test them in different soils and climates and what have you. So that's why he had been in Dalhart. Then he called me from Victoria, Texas, and said, "The company is going to send me to Australia for 3 months. If we'd get married, you could go." Now, see, that's not like these days. You don't have to get married. Anyway,
just go.
And I said, oh, I couldn't get married that soon. You go on and have a wonderful time. We'll talk about it when you come back. And later that day, I only told 2 people, and one was a friend, the other my sister. She said, what do you mean you can't get married? And I thought about it. No reason. I was nearly 40, and I'd never planned a big wedding or anything, so I called Gene down in Victoria, and he says that I said, is that offer still open? Anyway, it was, and here we are. And we've had a wonderful life together, and because of Gene's thinking, we've done some great things in Dalhart, but also in his hometown of Pennsylvania, Oxford, Pennsylvania. We're both interested in education, and he has been very generous in making donations back there that help educate kids. Okay, someone else talk now.
So, Gene, let's talk a little bit about, you used to play a little soccer, and that was something near and dear to you. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, where I was in Pennsylvania, we didn't have football, so everybody played soccer. About 10 years after we got out of school, they started football, but soccer was the game, and you played all through high school, and then we had a Sunday league, which I played and got league started back there. There's a town about every 15 miles, and the farthest town was about 100 miles away, which here you just say, well, that's just Amarillo, but that was way down in flatlands in Maryland, and we had a heck of a soccer league, and I got chosen in 1952, picked out of the league to go to Philadelphia to try out for the Olympics, and I played every Sunday, period. Those guys played, they were college boys, played all the time, and of course they beat me out, so but at least I got tryouts for it, and I loved the game. Played till I started traveling full time, was away from home, had to give it up. But if I'd stayed around that little town, I'd have played soccer till I was 50 years old probably. I really loved the game, and I was good at it, and it was fun. And you see what's happening now. When I came to Dalhart, nobody, not one person, knew about soccer. Yeah. And I was there about 2 or 3 years, and a guy came to town that had played soccer, and nothing was going on, and he wanted to get teams started, and somebody told him that I was involved. So we got together and got teams together and pulled names out of a hat, and had to teach the coaches because nobody knew anything about soccer. Now they got all kind of leagues there, and they're playing in the new gym and playing outside, and it's almost as big as football, and so big that the football coach in school won't let the guys play because he's afraid he'd take away from the football team. So it's changed the game, and of course it's a worldwide game. Nobody but a little bit of England and Germany plays football but us. So soccer is a game. But anyhow, I just loved the game and played it. Wish I could play it today, but I hardly walk.
Well, go ahead, Stacey.
Why do you think sports are important for kids and even adults to play? What do you think they get out of it? That
need playing together, work together, and get along together is the big thing with kids. And share, and don't be selfish, and learn the rules of life early. And I've noticed that a lot. Kids either want to play and hog the ball, or want to lay over the corner and not get involved. But it's hard hard to get a whole bunch of kids together, first, second, third grade, and get them going. But it's been fun doing it.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back here in just a minute and talk a little bit more about the Rahll Activity Center in Dalhart. But we'll take a quick break. This is the Fieldhouse Podcast on the Kids Inc. Sports Network.
Ready to dive deep into the heart of sports? Then tune in, because that is exactly what we are here for at the Fieldhouse Podcast. But the Fieldhouse Podcast isn't just about us talking sports. It's about all of us, our community, our passions, and our love for the game. That's why we're reaching out to any and all local businesses who want to get in early on the action. Whether you're a restaurant looking to pack the house on game day, or a fitness center wanting to help our listeners take their game to the next level, we want to partner with you. By sponsoring the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're not just getting your brand out there, you're becoming a part of our sports family. Reach out to us today at fieldhouse@kidsinc.org. That's KIDSINC.org.
Welcome back to the Fieldhouse Podcast. We appreciate you being with us today. I'm so grateful for Jean and Louise to come over and visit, and I appreciate Stacy sitting in. Her being a hometown girl from Dalhart, this is special for her today too. So let's talk a little bit about the Rahll Activity Center. I'm going to let you start it and go from there.
So what made y'all have the grand idea of having the Rahll Activity Center? What was it that spurred y'all to do that?
Gene?
Well, we did the Frank Phillips College there about 5 years ago. That was our first big project, and it went over so big and so good. I was looking for something else all along. And when they played school had moved, and he couldn't use his gym very often and couldn't exercise, couldn't get to no place at all in town for the adults to go to do anything. And I really don't know what made me think about doing what we did, but we built a brand new building, big enough for indoor soccer and longer than a soccer field, so we could put some other stuff in it with batting cage and exercise and two or three other things, climbing wall and golf game and stuff, and really it's a complete center. And fortunately, school had smart enough people there involved that they gave us the old gymnasium, which was not being used at all. Beautiful building, great building with just, you wouldn't build one today as good as it is. So we tied it into this new building, and now we got unquestionably the best exercise place in this part of the country, bar none. Bar Amarillo even doesn't have a place that people can go and play like they do there. And we're just tickled to death with it, and Kids Inc. came up. We really couldn't find anybody to run it right. And didn't want to spend the money, but we knew we had to do something. And I'd known Kids Inc. for a long time, and we just decided we need to get them involved. And we turned it. We still have board directors at the center, but they meet once a month, I think. I'm not even on it. When I built it, I said, "It's yours. I'm done." And they meet once a month, and Kids Inc. runs it and does a great job. And it is the biggest thing in Dalhart, I think. And we're just really tickled to be part of it.
First off, it's an honor for us to get to do it. We had a board meeting Monday. Actually, we were up in Dalhart Monday, and we've set it up. It's its own 501c3 nonprofit entity. The Rahll Activity Center has its own IRS tax ID and everything. We just completed the annual tax report for 2023, and so it is. We've been in business for a little over a year now. We opened up in January of 2023, and so we've got a full year under our belt and a little bit of trends that we can start to watch and see how things go. But like Gene said, it's a full indoor soccer arena, just like what we have in Hereford and Amarillo. And on top of that, it's got a rock climbing wall. It's got batting cages.
Pickleball.
Pickleball.
Which is popular.
The golf simulator. We've got 2 pickleball courts in what used to be a locker room connected to the gymnasium. And then we had the opportunity to refinish the floor on the gym floor, which really needed to be done. And when we did that, we put 3 more pickleball courts down. And so we're actually having an adult pickleball league right now that'll wrap up here before too long. But I think they've got 25 or so playing pickleball in a league, and they're pretty serious about it, about that pickleball stuff. And so, but it is, and the fact that it was able to add on to what I call a very vintage gymnasium that has bleachers that go up to the ceiling. I mean, it's a big place, and to get to go in and have that facility connected to the gym that the district allowed us to do so with. And what y'all went in and did, you added new heating and air to that building as well. And it's a first-class facility, Gene, like you said. We've got plenty of storage. We've got a great general manager, and we've got wonderful staff up there. Danny does a really, really good job managing the facility day in and day out. And she's got lots of ideas that'll continue to help us grow that place. And so it's just another fun addition to what we get to do, but we're really proud to be there and grateful to you all for allowing us to have a part in it, because that's what we do. We're in 4 communities: Elk City, we're in Dalhart, we're Hereford, and obviously here. But those other 3 communities, we didn't go looking for them. We were invited, and we didn't go in trying to step on anybody's toes. And each one of those 3 places invited us to be in, and Stacy's been with us pretty much since we've added all 3 of those on. And so talk about that and what it's like going into these different communities.
It's really, it's a blessing. Obviously, I'm a small town girl growing up in Dalhart, and being able to be involved with my hometown was near and dear to my heart. And then being able to join them and kind of see their vision through was another thing. Your vision was to actually have, go from little bitty kids all the way to the elderly. And I think that we're nicely doing that. We have, stay-at-home moms.
I was going to say, so many older people love the track. Summer, winter, fall, spring, they're there.
We have the same people that come in and walk every day. You see them when I'm down visiting Danny, and the same people are coming in and walking. We have stay-at-home moms that come in and they bring their kiddos and run all over the soccer field. So I think it's really doing what y'all had planned for it to do. We have upcoming things like we're going to try bingo with seniors with coffee that we're going to start in June. So that's going to bring some seniors in for that. And we've even got a walk-a-thon that we're going to start doing every couple months, that people come in and get their pedometer at the front desk, and we log their mileage for that day and put it on their record. And whoever wins at the end is going to go on our wall of champions and showcase them for a little bit to give them some hurrahs. But we just adapt as we need to make changes to what we hear the community's asking for. We're going to start some one-day pickleball tournaments that a lot of the pickleballers have asked for, just to come in one day. You don't have to commit several weeks for that. So I think that's going to be fun. But I feel like we're expanding your vision to include all age groups. I think it's hitting the whole community. Our goal, obviously, is to always get more members in and get more people using the facility that you bless the community with. And we hope that even after we're gone, that it'll continue to bless the community.
Gene, there's a business here in town, has branches elsewhere too. Obviously, we have one in Hereford that you might have had a little something to do with, but a lot of people might not know about. Let's talk about the company that you brought to Amarillo.
We started Rayburn Rental. Steve Burner and I started in 85, I think it was, with $250,000. I'd been in the rental business back east for 15 years, but I brought Steve out here, and he sold a year ago to a big national company, but it went from $250,000 to $50 million business
inventory.
So it's been growing, been fun, and I've been in the rental business in 1968.
and he was
Baltimore
elected to the Hall of Fame.
Started
the
6
National
young men that
Rental
worked for me in
Association.
business, and I'm so proud of them. They've all sold out but one now, and they've all gotten over $50 million for the business. It just tickles me to death to think back what they've done.
You started a rental company in Baltimore, Maryland. Is that correct?
Rental company started with
Ma and Pa.
$50,000 in
Literally.
1968.
But a lot of people don't know the Rayburn, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the R.A. came from Rahll, and the Ray Byrne, came from Steve, from Burner.
Correct.
So Rayburn Rentals, and a lot of people don't know that, but there's the R.A. and the Rayburn Rentals for you folks right there.
I came to Amarillo every Wednesday for several years. It was small enough that one person could handle all of the office.
Yeah.
Now they have a bunch of people, but I came every Wednesday and did all of the bookwork.
Yeah.
And
Gene's
office
always
work.
told me he had good ideas, but you always took care of the paying the bills and counting the money.
Well, I do write the checks at the day we met. I mentioned I was nearly 40 when I married, and I thought, oh, ye gods, I'm going to have to answer to him for every penny. He has yet to question me on something. And he has me write the checks. And
So I'm going to bring this up because I don't know if our listeners picked up on this a while ago. This is part of what's fascinating to me because how involved you all still are. But you said you were almost 40 when you got married. And how long have y'all been married now?
57 years.
So, folks, do the math here. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Gene. How old are you now?
I'm 95. She's 97. Still
have
going
good genes.
strong.
And they drove from Dalhart by themselves today, so they didn't need anybody's help. These two are around town still doing things at their age, and it's amazing to watch. It reminds me of Mr. Duggar that used to be involved with us here. Was one of our founders. He was one of our founders with Mr. Farley, and he lived to be 96, and he was down here 3 days a week, checking everybody out here at the office. And to see what you all do and watch it from a distance, and I will never forget the night we had the Thursday night event before we opened the grand opening, and watching the two of you walk in. I was sitting there with my camera filming the two of you, and watching your faces when all those folks were there in that evening. That we had a little bit of a kind of a pre-grand opening of the facility was fun to watch because you put a Frank Phillips College campus in Dalhart, Texas, all out of your own pocket, and then you did the same thing with this activity center, and most small communities don't have the benefit of that. And so, for what you've been able to do for Dalhart, Texas, and elsewhere too, but particularly for Dalhart, I really want to stress to them how important that is for small community or any community for that matter, but particularly in a small community where you're very rural, you're pretty good ways from any hub, and to have facilities like you have is not the norm in small towns. And so what you've done and what you've put in that community needs to be appreciated. We're grateful for it, obviously, but to have that in their community, I hope that they're just as proud because it's just quite the addition to Dalhart, Texas.
We just broke ground last week to put an addition to the college for automotive college.
We saw the dirt the other
We
day
did
when
see
we were
it.
in Monday. We saw the dirt
We
was
sure
being
did.
moved. So
Today, as you know, cars are so complicated. You just about need to go to college to learn anything. So
yeah,
Frank Phillips is building it. They just started break ground last week. Hope to have it ready for October for school.
that's
But
outstanding.
I think that's going to be one of the biggest things we've done.
Well, in addition to y'all building the college and adding all these programs, how many kiddos do you scholarship every year from the high school?
10.
10.
We have $100,000 every year for
them to go to
College
school?
scholarships.
We're way over $1 million now
Wow.
of scholarships.
So y'all touch so many people. I just want to tell y'all, I know that you hear it all the time, but all of those young people that probably wouldn't have that opportunity, you're building them a college, you're giving them a scholarship. I mean, you're setting them up to just do great things.
The goal.
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you thank you enough for taking the time to come over here today and visit with us. More importantly than that, please know how grateful we are that you've allowed us to be a part of this facility that you've built in Dalhart. I know it's fun for Stacy because she gets to go see her folks when we go to town. We get to see Greg and Kathy. But we've gotten to know so many people up in Dalhart on a personal basis. And that's the fun part of living in the Texas Panhandle, is having the opportunity to meet folks, get to know them, actually get to know somebody a little better than you do in a big city. And so thank y'all for coming over here today. We're grateful to you. We're going to have more podcasts coming in the future, but we always want to thank Maddie and thank Ashley Offset for making this production happen. And this is the Fieldhouse Podcast, and it is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We'll see you soon.